All right, today we're stepping into two totally different worlds. First, we're going to be the architects, the defenders, building a digital fortress from the ground up. Then, we're flipping the script. We're going to become the attacker and figure out exactly how to knock those walls down. Let's see how both sides of the coin really work. It all boils down to this, doesn't it? To really get security, you can't just be good at building walls. You have to understand the mindset of the person trying to get over them. So that's what we're going to do. We'll start by building our fortress. So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll build out a secure network using FortiGate. Then, we're going to pivot, set up a whole new virtual lab, and launch a pretty cool multi-stage attack against a server we've set up. Let's jump right in. Okay, first things first, defense. The goal here isn't just to make something secure, it's to make it smart. We want a network that's easy to manage and can grow with us. This is where we lay the foundation, brick by brick. The absolute core idea here is segmentation. We are not putting everyone on one giant flat network where they can all see each other. No way. Instead, we're creating separate virtual LANs, or VLANs, for each department: admin, sales, marketing. What this does right away is it contains any potential problems. So if a machine in marketing gets compromised, it can't just hop over and start sniffing around the sensitive servers in the admin network. So, you might be thinking, how do we manage all these different VLANs without writing a million firewall rules and losing our minds? Well, that's where this awesome thing called a FortiGate zone comes in. Just think of it like a big container. We take all our internal VLANs, admin, sales, marketing, and we just drop them into one big LAN zone. Now, instead of writing 3 or 30 different rules, we just write one single policy for the entire zone. It's so much cleaner, you're way less likely to make a mistake, and believe me, it is a lifesaver for network admins. Of course, having a firewall is great, but it's pretty useless if traffic doesn't even know how to get to it in the first place. And that's where the network's traffic cop comes into play, the Cisco router. The magic is happening right here in this little line of code. This static route, it's basically a simple instruction for the router. It says, hey, for any traffic that you don't have a specific map for, any of that internet-bound stuff, I want you to send it over to the FortiGate firewall at this address, 20.0.0.1. This little command makes sure all the traffic from our different departments gets funneled through the firewall for inspection. And this slide just says it all. It's the perfect illustration of the power of that one firewall policy we created. Look on the left. Before we applied our zone policy, trying to ping the internet, nothing. Just timeouts, dead in the water. But then, on the right, after we enable that one simple LAN zone to WAN policy, look at that. Successful pips from all our different VLANs. Our fortress now has a gate, it's controlled, and we're the ones deciding who gets in and out. So let's just recap what we've accomplished on the defensive side. We've given everyone secure internet access, sure, but we did it in a way that's incredibly efficient. If we need to add a new department next week, we just create their VLAN and add it to the zone. Done. Need to apply a new antivirus profile? We apply it to the whole zone in one go. That is a huge win. All right, time to switch hats. White hats off, black hats on. We've built our fortress. It's looking pretty solid. Now, let's flip the table and see the world from the attacker's point of view. It is time to build our own lab so we can launch a simulated cyber attack. Okay, so here are the main players in our little drama. We've got a pfSense firewall that's going to act as the perimeter defense for our target network. Then we have our victim, a Windows Server machine that's running a vulnerable web app. And, of course, the star of the show, our attacker machine, running Kali Linux, which is basically the Swiss Army knife for hackers, packed with all the tools we're going to need. Every attack needs a target, so we're starting by building that target's environment, beginning with its firewall, pfSense. Right here in the command line, we're setting up the boundaries, the WAN interface for the outside world and the LAN interface where our poor victim server is going to live. This is the wall we're about to try and climb. Now, over on our attacker's Kali machine, we run a very similar command. We're essentially telling our machine how to find the target network through the firewall's public-facing door. As soon as we can successfully ping that address, we know our attack machine has a line of sight to the target's perimeter. The stage is officially set. And now, for the main event. You see, a real-world hack is rarely just one thing. It's a chain of events, a step-by-step process. So we are going to walk through a classic 4-phase attack that shows you exactly how an attacker goes from knowing nothing about a target to getting full access. Our playbook is simple, but it is devastatingly effective. We're going to start with reconnaissance to scout the target. Then we use a neat little trick called a SQL injection to just waltz past the login screen. Once we're inside, we'll plant a little trap using cross-site scripting. And finally, we'll go for the keys to the kingdom by brute forcing our way to the admin's password. Phase 1, reconnaissance. The attacker's very first move is always to map out the territory. We use a tool called Nmap to scan our victim's IP address. This specific command is telling Nmap to be stealthy, to try and figure out what services are running, and to check every single one of the 65,535 possible ports. We're literally knocking on every digital door to see which ones are unlocked. And we get a hit. The Nmap scan comes back and tells us that port 80, the standard port for websites, is wide open. This is a huge discovery. We now know our victim is running a web server. We can forget about everything else. Our entire focus now zooms in on attacking that one web application. Phase 2, SQL injection. Now we're going to use a tool called Burp Suite to intercept the login request. And look at this payload. We're not even trying to guess a password. Instead, we are injecting a tiny piece of SQL code. That little bit at the end, the dash and 1 equals 1, is designed to trick the database. It basically changes the question from is the password correct to is the username admin and is 1 equal to 1? Well, since 1 always equals 1, the whole thing becomes true, and the database just lets us right in, completely ignoring the password. The goal here is brutally simple: get through the front door without a key. This single line of code completely exploits the application's misplaced trust in what users type in, and it turns a simple login form into a wide-open entry point. And just like that, we're in. Phase 3, stored cross-site scripting, or XSS. So now that we're inside, we're going to look for a place to leave a little surprise for other people. In this case, we're injecting a simple JavaScript payload right into a comment field. This isn't for us. This is a trap for the next person who views this page, who might just be an administrator. This works because of a fundamental failure in web security. The application takes our malicious comment, saves it to the database, and then just blindly serves it up to the next user's browser without cleaning it up first. When someone else views that comment, their browser just executes our script. Now, this one just pops up an alert, but a real attacker could use this exact technique to steal login cookies or credentials. Okay, phase 4, the brute force. Our final objective is to get a legitimate username and password, so we can come back whenever we want. We'll start by creating a simple text file with a list of really common usernames. Admin, administrator, root. This is the ammunition for our password guessing tool. So let's pull back for a second and look at the whole picture. This wasn't just a bunch of random hacks. What we just saw was a complete, methodical attack chain, moving step by step from knowing absolutely nothing to achieving a full system compromise. This table just lays out the entire playbook. You can see how each step enables the next one. The scan finds the door. The SQL injection picks the lock. The XSS attack sets a trap for people already inside. And the brute force, well, that steals the master key. It's a powerful reminder that security isn't about having one super strong wall. It's about having layers. A failure at any one of these steps could have stopped this whole attack in its tracks. So the question this leaves us with is, how many of these steps would your network be able to stop?